some of
So,
you, I may not, I don't think I know everyone here, so I'll introduce myself. My name is Brady Sandahl, and I live in Palm Springs, California. Generally, it's warm and sunny. Today, it's sunny and cold, hence my winter jacket. I'm in production. I wake up every day. Our team does represent a high number of luxury properties and more traditional price properties in Palm Springs. I also serve as the director of growth for Keller Williams Luxury, which means I influence the direction of luxury for Keller Williams worldwide. We have 15,000 agents in our company who focus on luxury, dispersed over about 800 plus market centers. And one of the things I love most about my job, not only working with buyers and sellers, but working with all of you, is I get to interview luxury brands around the world. In other words, I get to work with the Ritz-Carlton and Four Seasons and Mercedes-Benz and all these great brands. And they've taught me 12 things that I'm going to share with you today. And I think it might change your perception of luxury. Now, we have some younger agents on the call, and we have some more mature agents in regards to age on the call, right? We're kind of smiling about that. We know who we are. So back in the day, luxury was about price. But what we've learned now is that luxury is all about emotion and psychology. In other words, luxury is about how you feel in that moment about that particular product, service, or experience. And if there's one thing I could change in all of your mindset is that luxury will never be about how much something is. It's going to be about how consumers feel in that particular moment. So right now, you might think this is great, or you might thinking, oh my God, how do I get out of this conversation as quickly as possible? But regardless, it's about how can you feel in this particular moment? And here's why that's important. In 2019, before the pandemic, a survey was done for about 15,000 people in the United States. And Ben, what was so concerning about that survey is that 61% of the people who completed the survey identified themselves as being lonely. Lonely. 61%. That was before the pandemic. It probably went up during the pandemic. And why I'm sharing that with you now is because luxury brands understand that it is about the human connection more than it is about the cost or the price on that consumer. In other words, big luxury brands don't think about how much money they spend on a consumer. They think about the time they spend with the consumer. In other words, Mercedes-Benz doesn't want to send you a lot of gifts. They want to be in relationship with you. They want you in the dealership. They want you at their events. They want you to be spending time with them and them time with you, right? So human connection is more important than the cost. Now, I'll tell you, I represent several billionaires. One of our clients just won the Powerball at 765 million. I know. She bought 2 tickets. 2 tickets. Talk about beginner's luck. She said, well, the first ticket spoke to me. I bought the second ticket, and that's the one that won. Simple. She drives a Nissan Sentra. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if I won the Powerball, I'm not driving the Nissan Sentra any longer. I might put the Nissan Sentra on a pedestal. I'm not driving the Sentra anymore. Nothing wrong with Nissan. I might upgrade. Might go to infinity. Might go to infinity. So here's the math equation that luxury brands recognize. Ready for the math equation? Relationships plus magic. Relationships plus magic equals stories. R plus M equals S. So what that means is that luxury brands, including ours, we want to be in relationship with as many people as possible. And we want to use the time to create magic in their minds, because when we create magic, they tell a story about us. Relationship plus magic equals story. So let me ask you, come off mute. What are the brands that give you the best relationships? The brands that you really love to be in relationship with? Monique, you've got great style. What brands do you love? Natalie, you're driving,
I'm gonna
but
tell you that here in San Antonio, Lexus, um,
yeah,
it's all about
Agreed.
relationships. They come to pick up my vehicle when it's something
right.
wrong.
They were the first to do that. They were the first to pick up, the car from you versus you having to go drop off the car. What are some other brands that you have relationships with that you absolutely love?
BMW. When you
BMW.
pick up your car, they give you a little piece of chocolate.
Yeah. If
It's
you looked at my waistline, you would think I had a lot of BMWs because I've had so much chocolate over the holiday season. I don't need any more chocolate. Like, I'm good. Please don't send any chocolates after this call. I need to be on a treadmill. Now, when you think about Lexus, BMW, Ritz-Carlton, Four Seasons, Nordstrom, Lululemon, even Chick-fil-A, In-N-Out, whatever it is, Starbucks, the magic they give you is why you keep coming back. You're in a relationship, but the magic is why you keep coming back. And then you tell a story about that brand. Remember, luxury consumers choose brands because they believe that the dreams they have will come true. Disney, Nordstrom, Lexus. Remember, Monique, that big red bow at Christmas time? They were the first brand to do the red bow. That's a dream, right? So luxury brands recognize that consumers go to them to make their own dreams come true. So let me ask you a question. What if we moved away from asking things like, when do you plan on moving? When would you like to sell? Where would you like to buy? What's the type of home you're looking for? What if we went over with this? Hey, Monique, I'm curious, what markets should we cash out of to make your next dream come true? Or Tamitra, what market would you like to sell into to make your next dream come true? What if we use different language, got rid of this and moved over here and talked about dreams? Because really, dreams create emotions. Dreams are why people come true. And if we recognize that dreams are why people do what they do, then here's the harsh reality that we're going to have to fix or create. Flawless service has to be the new model. So 2 nights ago, a good friend of mine, he's like a second dad. He turned 90. And I knew that he and his wife and their 2 daughters, one I went to college with, were going to have his 90th birthday party. So Ben, I called the restaurant. I said, I would like to do something special for the family. And they said, well, there will be 10 people there. Would you like to order, floral arrangement? Well, I don't think a 90-year-old guy wants flowers. Like, that's more like a funeral. And they said, well, would you like to have like some appetizers? And I'm like, no. I said, I'd like to pay for the meal. And they said, you want to pay for the whole meal? And I was like, well, I don't really want to pay for half the meal. I mean, he's 90. Like, what? So we made the arrangements. You know what happened, Ben? You know what happened? What's the worst thing that could happen besides food poisoning?
Uh, I'm sure he was shocked and thrilled and pleased. What happened?
He was shocked, thrilled, and pleased. The waiter forgot who bought the meal.
Oh,
Oh,
The waiter's like, I don't remember whose name. Now, I don't need the recognition, but
right.
there was mass confusion at that dinner party. Like, well, can we leave? Are you
Yes.
sure you got paid? Are we going to get assaulted if we leave without paying? Like, what happened to the gift cards we brought? I mean, it was mass confusion. So I said, hey, funny thing, right? So the family calls me and they said, we figured out after waiting in the restaurant for 45 minutes, the server comes back and said, I went through all the receipts. And I found this guy named Brady Sandahl. Do you know him? They're like, yeah, we know him. Like, he's like our son. So they figured it out. That's not flawless service.
Hmm.
I've had better service at Dairy Queen getting the peanut butter parfait, which by the way is no longer 99 cents. It's like 18.50 with inflation, but it's the same size. It's the same size.
Wow.
Nothing, you can't go wrong. Dairy Queen's right up there with heaven. I mean, it's heavenly. Okay. So if we can accept that flawless service has to be the new model, if we can buy into that, right? Let me ask you something. What if you chose something and made it flawless? It might be the initial call, it might be the listing conversation, it might be how you prepare for the photo shoot, it might be how you present the offer. But what if we made 2024 the year of delivering flawless service? What if we made that our thing going forward? What if we realized that flawless service was what they wanted in that relationship plus magic equals stories? What if we realized that, right? Because here's the thing. When we're going for flawless service, every single touch point is the opportunity to just say why we're different. Now, Monique, Natalie, Scott, Gabriel, Ian, all of you, I'm sure, are well regarded in your market as showing up at a really high level. And yet, consumers are on their phones more than ever before, which means they're heavily distracted. Now, I was recently at the Ritz-Carlton having lunch yesterday at 2:15. Okay. So I'm at the Ritz-Carlton. We finished lunch. I'm checking email. Guess what was on my phone? What would be on my phone?
A message from Ritz-Carlton.
No. Four Seasons, Montage, JW. Every other brand knew that I was in the area, and they're all competing for my attention. Now, that's somewhat stockish, although I do like a good stalker. I've had several in my life. I do appreciate what they do and how well they do it. But my point is that every touch point is the opportunity to remind them why they selected you for what they want you to do, achieve their goal, right? So if we believe that every touch point's the opportunity, then here's the interesting twist. That the experience is everything. Monique, you know this. I've seen you. You've got great style. You know that experience is everything. And everything is the experience. Now, I can tell you, I'm in production. I'll sell about 120 million this year. Average price point is probably $1.5 million. I don't really get excited to go to a photo shoot and like chop the pillows so they look great, like But I'll tell you what, the seller yesterday at $3.2 million listings, like, I love how you chop the pillows. I never thought about chopping them. Like, what are we doing here? But experience is everything. And everything, including the photo shoot, is the experience. And that seller called the neighbor across the street and said, oh my God, he chops the pillows. Now, that home is probably worth $5 million. And she's calling me to talk about, will I chop the pillows? Oh, honey, I'll chop the pillows. I'll chop the salad. I'll chop anything you want chopped. You list 5 million. I'm going to chop. I'm going to even take your dry cleaning it. I'll take your dry cleaning it. I mean, chop. So hotel brands, restaurants, car dealerships, anytime you're waiting, anytime you're on property, anytime you're sitting around, they recognize that there are about 54,000 impressions that you get through your phone every 24 hours. They just retain, they flash, you may not realize them, but they're just spinning in your head, which means About every 60 minutes, they're doing something to entertain you. So if you're at a pool, they're going to drop something. If you're at a car dealership waiting, they're going to drop something. If you're at a restaurant, they're going to drop something. They recognize they've got to keep you engaged in that brand, because if not, you're going to drift. And by the way, Keller Williams has the same fear. Because Lord knows, if you forget your copy machine ID after a 3-day weekend, you're going to change companies. Said with love, right? I'm an agent. I can say these things. So we have to make sure that you're tied to the brand, right? You're connected to the brand so you don't drift away from the marina out to the sea. So here's the reality. How many of you performed, trained, you're an athlete, you're a dancer, you're a singer, you're a piano player, you're a parent, you're a business owner, right? Does anyone play the piano here? Yeah, I know. I tried 3 times and the piano player is like, this isn't for you. Go try something else. You have no talent over here. Let's go over here. Anyway, that's a therapy session. Repetition, what we do over and over creates a reputation. So recognize, like, if the signs are in the ground and they're clean, they're always in the ground clean, that creates a reputation of brand, right? Repetition creates reputation, and reputation creates customers. So in our world here in Palm Springs, what we do is we do the same thing over and over again. It's always the same. Someone came in and said, I want to shout at you. I'm like, oh, God, Lord, no. So they came in yesterday and they shadowed. And 15 minutes in, he's like, you're doing the same thing over and over again. Uh-huh. Yeah. He's like, but when does it get exciting? I said, it never does. Huh. Repetition is the same thing over and over, which creates the reputation, which creates the consumers. It's like, well, why do you do the same thing over? And I said, because it takes less energy. It builds a better reputation. And I want the consumers calling me to list their home. Remember that pillow chop? Pillow chop. I always chop the pillows. $5 million listing comes in. Repetition creates reputation, and reputation makes customers. And I'd say that when you're making customers, remember, like, I'm very private. I don't tell a lot of people what we do because it sounds very narcissistic. Like, we're the #1 team 4 years in a row. No one cares. Because when we say that we're that, it's just marketing. But when someone else says we're great, that's the magic. That's the relationship plus magic equals stories, right? So funny story, my assistant of 16 years just retired. Now she's going to come back in 2 weeks because she's going to hate retirement. I've made sure of it. I've made sure that every restaurant kicks her out. Every country club won't let her in. She's going to hate retirement. It's my passive aggressive way of controlling people in my life. Just kidding. Anyway, the client calls and says, listen, we love your transaction coordinator. She's fantastic. Yes, she's fantastic. We'd like to send her to London. Now I'm in Southern California thinking, like, there might be like London near Sacramento, maybe outside of San Francisco. Take the Amtrak, God help her. I mean, I can't believe they're still around, but anyway, they're like, no, they're sending her to London, England for 2 weeks. They're sending her first class on British Airways, and they rented a castle for her for 2 weeks. A castle. I've never been in a castle. I can barely spell it. Castle. I know that. My point is that when you have an amazing system, repetition, reputation, customers, the customers start giving you the magic back. Imagine if you made your 401k plan today, you're going to have the best relationships with the best magic to deliver the best reputation, the stories. And those stories are always going to give you dividends and annuities and residuals. Because when you say you're great, it's marketing, but when they say it's great, it's magic. And so you need to create that culture of love, which we learned from interviewing 3 and Jackie Carpenter. Yes, his name is 3. That's a whole other conference call. But his name is 3 and Jackie Carpenter. They wrote a book called People First. And the acronym for love is loyalty, ownership, value, and excellence. Loyalty, ownership, value, and excellence. So they want people that are loyal to the experience. They want people that own the experience. They want people that value the experience. They want people that would excel in delivering that experience. And the other thing I'd say is Phil Jones, who wrote the book Exactly What to Say, has become a good friend of mine. We had him at our symposium conference, which is our global sales conference in the fall. He said, listen, do the basics, do the repetitive basics at a high standard consistently, and you're going to win. Because nobody wants to do the same thing over. And God forbid they do it at a high level and consistently over time. So what I love when people say to me is like, oh my God, you are painfully boring. I think that's the greatest gift they can give me, because I do the same thing over and over. Starbucks, 7:40 in the morning. On camera, 8 a.m. Conversation's different. Conversation's curated for the audience that I'm speaking with, but the conversation still happens. So here's the trick. I know that you love to text people. I know that you love to email people. If there is one thing I could fix in our company, is I would delete our email platform. I would just delete it. So, Ben, do we have any guests in the room? Are they all from KW?
Oh, no. Typically about 3/4 are, and 1/4 is not. So, yeah.
So here's how the trick gets done. Every company loves to email me, hey, like, would you let me know when you're available? You know what I do? I pick up the phone, I call them, and then they freak out. They're like, oh my God, you're calling me? Yeah, because I knew you were available because you just emailed me. So in December, we were trying to help someone achieve something. And, that person sent an email to someone who sent an email to someone who sent an email to someone. And the email didn't work. So then we started texting someone. So yesterday I figured out what the problem was, and I called 3 people and in 5 minutes got it done. And they're like, how did you do that? Oh, well, I opened up my phone with my passcode, and there's a little button here. It's like, it looks like a phone. And you just go like that. And then there's a keypad and you just call. Now I'm being a little bit sarcastic because I had a meltdown like a 2-year-old yesterday. It's like, pick up your phone. So she didn't pick up the phone. So I just kept calling. I'm that guy. Hang up, repeat, hang up, repeat. Because on the 3rd attempt, they realized the building's burning down or something's going wrong. I'm like, hi, it's me. I just call. I look nice, but I can be a little manipulative with my phone. Just call people. My point is 61% of people are lonely. That was before the pandemic. People are not as engaged in their jobs as they used to be. We've moved away from using the words please and thank you. We've moved away from using the names. We pay for dinners and the servers forget who the dinner's from. That was really fun. Anyway, what if we just realized that 2024 was about having the best relationships, creating magic by spending time with them on the phone, voice to voice, in person? It's not about the money, it's about the time on task. Imagine how great that would be. All right, questions. I've talked a lot. I've talked so much.
That's why you're here. And again, you've given us so much magic, because I can tell you in my 34 years, I had never heard that the repetition equals the reputation, right? It's just repeat. It's the what is Gary
Yeah,
say, that
repetition.
repetition,
Yeah,
boredom, right? That boredom, right? When you exceed at a high level, I think that we do the boring task consistently over time, which then leads to the brand and the reputation. So that was golden and it was magic. So, and again, I think we all need to adopt the new model of flawless service, right? And I think everyone on this call and those who couldn't make it, even without saying it, I think we all have the same goal for 2024 because that's what's going to help us excel. Give me the Cliff Note version of, and I think you've already spoke to it. If you're newer, not just to Keller Williams, but if you're newer to this business, and folks think that they want to step into luxury, and you and I both know that luxury is not about the price. Give it to them, in a sentence or two. What can they start to implement currently that'll help them ultimately move toward developing that reputation of delivering flawless service at any price?
yeah. So whatever you do, make it that much better.
One
Whatever
up
you do,
plus.
make it better. From how you greet someone on the phone. Like, I love this one. Oh, thanks for doing that. Oh, no problem. No problem. No problem. No, 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 no problem.
Good.
Two,
My pleasure. My pleasure.
or thank you for giving us the compliment. Who else would like this level of service?
Amen.
So we did a Harry and David basket, and apparently we were sending a small basket, and they somehow sent the largest basket the world's ever seen. I think it's like 5 feet long. And the client's like, this is the biggest gift basket we've ever received. I'm like, yeah, that's the biggest. I'm not sure what we just did here. Harry and David made a mistake. They thought it was going to a corporate event. It was going to a couple, corporate and couple. That sounds right. Anyway, it's like 5 feet long. And they said, oh my God, this is the biggest basket we've ever seen. I'm like, yeah, me too. I'm sure the Amazon driver loved delivering that. Point of the story is they called and said, oh my God, we love the basket. And I'm like, are you using a wide angle lens? Because half of this doesn't fit on my phone. And they said, no, it's 5 feet long. And they said, okay, great. And they said, well, I'm so glad you love this. You'll be able to eat all of 2024 and 2025 from the basket. And I said, who else would like to have a basket maybe half this size? Is what I said, half this size, like a joke. She's like, actually, Russ down the street wants to sell. He's interviewing 7 people. Let me call them. She called him. He called me. And in 20 minutes, we agreed that he'd cancel the 7 appointments. He'd sign with us at 930,000. My point is, you just got to look for the compliment.
That's it. That's it.
That's all. And then don't order 5-foot baskets. You don't
Right.
need to do that. That
Well,
doesn't need to happen.